Welcome back to another episode of ROC Boys football. As you guys know, relocated due to the hurricane, but the show goes on, and we're talking some Pac-12 Friday Night Deal. Washington last year, you'd be so excited for Pac-12 after dark, us being on the East Coast. I said this is where you become champion, making it through 12 hours of football and ending the nightcap with the Pac-12 matchup. And last year, the last 2 years, watching that Washington offense and watching that Washington team, it just wasn't hitting the same. This is a new Washington team with Michael Penix, Kalen DeBoer in town. This is a fun team to watch. Before we get into it, though, just wanted to say thank you guys, per usual, for all the support you guys have shown. If you guys do like the content, you like talking ball, you like talking college football picks, consider subscribing to the channel. We do have a pick for this one. Excited to get into it, Dill. I'm going to kick it to you. Washington going on the road to the UCLA. What's your thoughts here?
I mean, going on the road, that's basically just playing a neutral site because you're going to have, you get 500 people in that stadium right now.
You might see more Husky fans there, 100%. Friday night in LA.
I mean, no one's going to these games. But aside from that, I'm not 100% sure what to think of Washington right now because I don't know 100% what to think of Michigan State. That win at its face was obviously very impressive, but then you go watch Michigan State get embarrassed by Minnesota
at home.
I mean, I still think Washington looks good. Those wide receivers are very, very talented. You could just see Penix. He felt comfortable. He was throwing the ball very confidently. I guess the question is, what's the defense like? Because Michigan State put some points up on them, especially later in that game. So that's my question. I'm pretty sure Washington offense really good, but I do wonder if their defense is kind of stout like we expect.
I do think they look like – I don't think that Stanford offense is horrible. And going back and watching, I think Washington looked good. Here's the matchup I like most about this game is I really like Washington's front seven. You go down the list of some of these guys. I mean, they're tackle for loss machines. Trice has been awesome. ZTF, we obviously know the dog. Tupu Lata, I believe that's how you say his name. He's been very good. Washington is one of the better defenses in the country in terms of getting tackles for loss and getting negative plays. And when you look at the matchup of how to beat UCLA, DTR is one of the most explosive playmakers, not only in the Pac-12, but in the country when he's in his comfortable spots. No, it's not very comfortable for him. Sitting in the pocket and trying to push the ball down the field vertically. If Washington can stop this run game, a very good run game, Zach Charbonnet is one of the best running backs in the country. DTR obviously can use his legs. It's a good, explosive run game. If you can stop that, get them behind the chains, 3rd and 7+, I think Washington's going to be able to get off the field. And as of right now, I have no reason to see this Washington offense slowing down at all.
Yeah, and that's my thought is, I mean, 22 to Stanford. I think you're right that Stanford's not terrible on offense, but I don't think they're great. And I mean, McKee did throw for a lot of yards, so I think you do have some questions. Obviously, you lost a lot of experience at the corner spot, and but also UCLA, they just haven't looked great this year, and I don't know really what to. It's hard to make. I think this game's hard. This one's kind of got me a little tied up.
We were able to get Washington inside of 3 at 2.5 when it opened. I like that. Again, you said they're accounting for some home field advantage. There's not much at UCLA, and this one is more of an eyeball test for me. You've seen both teams play 4 games. UCLA, yeah, they beat Colorado. Colorado might be one of the worst teams in the FBS, not even group of 5 teams. They hung around with South Alabama. That's a good team, but not great. Bowling Green, who is one of the worst teams in the FBS as well, hung around in the first half. Just going off the eyeball test, Washington hasn't struggled once. They rolled Kent State, they rolled Michigan State, they rolled Stanford. Those are 3 teams that might be better outside of South Alabama, are probably better than any team UCLA has played. So just going off the eyeball test, I think Washington is the better team here.
Yeah, and I agree with that. The one thing I guess you could worry is UCLA started with a Michigan type schedule where they played nobody for 4 weeks, and could have they been just kind of sleepwalking because I think it is hard to get
sleepwalking. They almost lost to South Alabama. They were
also they play in an environment that's very sleepy and just I think when you get some of those factors going, it's just who knows if UCLA was just a little like lethargic in how they were going to play those games. And obviously when you get nothing to feed off of it, it is what it is. And if I kind of thought UCLA was going to be kind of good coming into this season, if you ask me. So I think that's the one thing that's holding me back from saying, oh, how is this line? I mean, it does seem awfully low for Washington, but I still think like maybe we just haven't seen the UCLA team we expect because there is some talent. Like DTR is very good, sharp, got good players still.
DTR is a guy that it's very similar to how we talk about Malik Cunningham. I don't love betting against DTR because I don't love betting on him either. Just in the case that you either get like a really, really sloppy DTR, but you also can get a DTR that is one of the best quarterbacks and one of the best athletes on the field and can kind of take over games. I think the key to Washington on defense, if we're taking a look at Washington's defense versus UCLA's offense, is one, stopping that run game, getting them behind the chains, which they are very, very good at. I think Cam Bright's been awesome for Washington. I really like that front seven. And then forcing DTR to stay in the pocket. So when it is third and long, you have some dog pass rushers. It's one thing to have those dogs, but you have to have some gap integrity when you're pass rushing because DTR getting outside the pocket, that's when he thrives. That's when he's comfortable, when he's using his legs, seeing the field more clearly. You can keep him in the pocket, force him to throw the ball down the field vertically. I don't love DTR. And that's how I think you stop him. Looking on the offensive side of the ball, you take a look at this Washington team, and it's like such a malpractice by Jimmy Lake with all these wide receivers. Like Jalen McMillan was a dude out of high school. And he's a dude now. I mean, averaging 17.5 yards per catch, 367 yards. Rome Odunze, I think that's how you say his name. He's been awesome. Jalen Polk. Giles Jackson even is playing very well, 175 yards on 13 catches. Like, there are so many weapons on this Washington team that can hurt you. And you look at UCLA, like, they brought in the transfer Jake Bobo from Duke, who's looked good. And I actually really do like Jake Bobo from what I've seen. He's a bigger guy that can catch the ball down the field vertically, but is also very good after the catch. You're going to have to make sure you can tackle him, but we talk about this all the time. And Washington just cycles in DBs who are physical DBs who tackle well in space. You look back like guys like Trent McDuffie, Kylie Gordon, they tackle. Those DBs tackle, and I think they're going to ask to do it because DTR likes to get the ball out of his hands quick and let his wide receivers cook. I like this matchup for Washington.
Yeah, and that is the thing I do. Like, Washington has made a massive step forward with Kalen DeBoer's got cooking, it seems, at least from the first few games. And Chip, I don't know. I still think, yeah, maybe we are still a little questioning. Is he going to be able to turn it around and make that program kind of bring it back to maybe what they want it to be, which is more of a competitive.
Yeah, Chip's done a good job. I think he's done a good job turning the program around. I like what he's doing. I don't know when you look at the rosters of both teams. I don't know how you don't see Washington just having better matchups. And this is a little bit more of a heart pick for me as well, just because I'm so happy to have Washington back. It was so hard to watch that team the last couple of years with Jimmy Lake. And I get it. Jimmy Lake, he's not an offensive guy, but it was how bad that offense was and how poorly managed it was. When you have guys, all these guys were on the team last year and they just weren't being used. Now you have Michael Penix, who looks like back when Michael Penix was playing great ball for Indiana. I like this team. I want to see them keep winning. And again, the Pac-12, if you ask me, and this is no disrespect to UCLA fans, if you ask me to pick a team in the Pac-12 that I want to be relevant nationally, UCLA or Washington, there's no better fans. I mean, those Washington fans get down. Like, they love their football. Those UCLA fans, Friday night, they're going to be out partying. They're going to be at the clubs. These Washington fans are going to be watching their team. Like, this is what it's about. I want to see Washington. So you're seeing, like, yes, I like the matchups, but also this is, like, sometimes when you're picking sports, when you're betting on sports, it's got to be from the heart. It's got to be from the heart. And this one's just from the heart here. I mean, I love what Kalen DeBoer is doing. I love what Michael Penix is doing. Give me the Huskies, man. Inside 2.5. Come on.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on the pick. There's still the like lurking in the back of my mind, like UCLA just feels like they sometimes play these big games tough, and
they do.
And they've looked bad at the times they've looked bad at this year. Like, they do sometimes have sleepy games, and I'm convinced part of it is their atmosphere. Like, when you're like playing in front of nobody against bad teams. It does. I don't know. Maybe it just doesn't feel the same. And obviously, they're going to be up for Washington. This is a game Chip knows he has to win, or at least be competitive in, to keep kind of that allure of what he could be. So I'd be lying if I said I wasn't a little worried that you could see like a Wake the Sleeping Dragon. Not that, I mean, that's maybe a bit like they're not a dragon in that sense, but wake UCLA up and make them at least like be what we kind of think they could have been.
Yeah, even if they do wake up, I think Washington is it's a stronger dragon, and I'm rocking with the Huskies. That'll do it from the fellas. We're riding with the Huskies inside of 3. At least I'm riding with the Huskies. I'm not afraid of UCLA, even if they do wake up. This Husky team is different this year. Give me the Huskies inside of a field goal. That'll do it from the fellas. If you guys do like the content, again, consider subscribing to the channel. We appreciate you guys, especially the Husky fans. You guys freaking rock. We'll talk to you guys all later. Peace.